What if I told you that Disney's most terrifying sea witch wasn't born evil, but created by the very society that cast her out? Ursula's tentacles don't just represent physical power. They read psychological chains that bind her to a cycle of manipulation and control. Behind every cruel bargain and wicked scheme lies a broken heart that learned to weaponize pain. Today, we dive deep into the abyss of Ursula's mind to uncover the disturbing psychology that transforms rejection into revenge. In the depths of Atlantica, where coral castles gleam and merfolk sing in harmony, there once swam a creature who belonged to this world completely. Ursula wasn't always the tentacled terror we know. Archaeological evidence from Disney's expanded universe suggests she was once King Triton's sister, a royal with her own claim to the ocean's throne. But here's where psychology gets fascinating. Family dynamics and positions of power create unique pressures. Dr. Alfred Adler's theory of individual psychology tells us that feelings of inferiority drive human behavior more than we realize. When siblings compete for parental approval, especially in royal families, the psychological wounds run deeper than any physical harm. Ursula lived in Triton's shadow, watching him receive praise for his strength while her intelligence was overlooked. The Ocean Kingdom valued traditional power, the trident, physical might, the ability to command storms. But Ursula's gifts lay elsewhere, in understanding desires, reading weaknesses, and seeing the cracks in others' armor. Society labeled these skills as dark magic, but psychology recognizes them as hypervigilant survival mechanisms developed by those who feel perpetually threatened. Notice how even her physical form reflects this psychological state. The octopus, a creature of intelligence forced to hide in dark corners, using camouflage and cunning to survive. Her tentacles aren't just limbs. They're extensions of her need to control everything around her, to ensure she's never caught off guard again. But there's something even more sinister brewing beneath the surface. The royal court's rejection wasn't just political. It was deeply personal, striking at the core of her identity as a woman and a leader. The breaking point came not with violence, but with something far more devastating: being erased. Royal records show Ursula was banished not for any specific crime, but for practicing forbidden arts. In psychological terms, this represents the ultimate invalidation, being told that your very essence, your natural talents, are wrong and unwanted. Trauma specialists identify this as complex rejection trauma, when someone isn't just denied what they want, but told they're fundamentally flawed for wanting it. Ursula didn't just lose her position. She lost her identity, her family, her entire sense of belonging. The ocean she called home became a prison where every current whispered her shame. Here's where neuroscience reveals something chilling. Chronic rejection actually rewires the brain. The anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for processing emotional pain, becomes hyperactive. Simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, our center for empathy and moral reasoning, begins to shut down as a protective mechanism. Ursula's brain literally restructured itself to survive the psychological assault. But she didn't just survive, she adapted with terrifying efficiency. Banished to the ocean's darkest trenches, surrounded by the skeletons of forgotten creatures, she began to study something the royal court had overlooked: the power of desperation. Every lost soul that drifted down to her lair became a case study in human weakness. She learned that everyone has a price, and more importantly, everyone has a wound. The mermaid who wanted legs, the sailor who wanted love, the prince who wanted purpose, all of them carried the same ache she knew so well. The difference was, she had learned to weaponize hers. The tentacles that once made her an outcast became tools of manipulation, each one capable of pulling the strings of others' desires. And in that transformation, something fundamental shifted in her relationship with power itself. In her underwater lair, surrounded by the remnants of broken dreams, Ursula didn't just practice magic. She perfected the science of psychological manipulation. Her tentacles writhed with purpose as she studied each desperate soul who sought her help, cataloging their fears, mapping their desires, understanding the precise pressure points of the human psyche. What makes Ursula truly terrifying isn't her supernatural abilities. It's her mastery of behavioral psychology. She understands that people don't really want what they think they want. They want to escape what they fear most. Ariel doesn't just want legs. She wants freedom from feeling trapped. Prince Eric doesn't just want love. He wants purpose and meaning. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy shows us that our deepest motivations are often rooted in avoidance behaviors. We move away from pain more powerfully than we move toward pleasure. Ursula weaponized this knowledge, becoming a dealer in emotional cocaine, offering temporary relief that creates permanent dependency. Her contracts aren't just legal documents. They're psychological traps designed with surgical precision. Notice how she never lies outright. Instead, she uses selective disclosure, a manipulation technique where truth becomes more dangerous than deception. I'll give you legs for 3 days. Technically accurate, but hiding the crushing weight of the consequences. The transformation of her lair tells the story of her psychological evolution. What began as a place of exile became a gallery of conquered souls. Each polyp and withered creature a trophy representing her growing mastery over others' weaknesses. She wasn't just collecting victims. She was building an empire of dependency. But here's what is most disturbing. Every cruel bargain she strikes feeds a deeper hunger that no amount of power can truly satisfy. The tentacles that give her strength also keep her forever reaching, grasping, never quite able to hold on to what she truly craves. The moment Ariel entered her lair, Ursula crossed a threshold that would define her completely. Here was innocence walking willingly into her web, but more than that, here was everything she had once been. Young, hopeful, believing in the possibility of transformation. The psychological significance is staggering. In that dimly lit cavern, surrounded by the evidence of her countless victories over hope, Ursula faced her ultimate test. She could have seen herself in Ariel's desperate eyes, could have recognized the same yearning for belonging that had once driven her to seek acceptance from Triton's court. Instead, she chose to exploit it. This represents what psychologists call identification with the aggressor, a defense mechanism where victims adopt the behaviors of those who hurt them. But Ursula took it further. She didn't just become like those who rejected her. She became worse. She weaponized the very vulnerability she had once possessed. The contract with Ariel wasn't just business. It was personal revenge against her own former self. Every clause designed to ensure failure was a rejection of the hope she had once carried. When she silenced Ariel's voice, she was symbolically destroying the part of herself that had once believed in the power of authentic expression. But here's where the psychology becomes truly complex. Was she saving Ariel from the same disappointment she had experienced, or was she ensuring that innocence would suffer as she had? The line between protection and destruction blurred as her tentacles wrapped around the mermaid's dreams. The transformation spell she cast wasn't just changing Ariel's body. It was a ritual of psychological transference. Every second of the 3-day countdown wasn't just time ticking away. It was Ursula reliving her own transformation from hopeful royal to vengeful outcast, forcing Ariel to experience the same crushing weight of impossible expectations. What we re-witnessing in Ursula's behavior isn't madness. It is a perfectly logical response to systematic, psychological abuse, evolved into something far more sophisticated and terrifying. Neuroscientific research on social rejection reveals that the brain processes emotional pain in the same regions that process physical trauma. Ursula's mind didn't just heal from her wounds. It militarized them. Her tentacles represent what psychologists call hypervigilant attachment patterns, the need to control every aspect of relationships to prevent further abandonment. Each tentacle can reach in a different direction, ensuring no threat approaches undetected, no opportunity for connection escapes unexploited. She has literally embodied her psychological defenses. The way she structures her bargains follows classical conditioning principles with surgical precision. She provides immediate gratification, the transformation, the solution to their problem, paired with delayed consequences, voice loss, soul extraction. This creates what behaviorists call intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive pattern known to psychology. Studies of manipulative personalities show that the most effective predators aren't those who lie, but those who tell selective truths. Ursula's genius lies in her contract's technical accuracy combined with emotional deception. She gives people exactly what they ask for while ensuring they don't receive what they actually need. Her lair serves as a perfect representation of what researchers call trauma museums, spaces where individuals with complex PTSD surround themselves with reminders of their survival. Each polyp isn't just a victim. It's proof of her power to transform pain into control. She is not collecting souls. She is building evidence that she can do to others what the world did to her. But perhaps most chilling is how her behavior demonstrates what psychologists call malignant narcissism. Not the shallow self-obsession people often imagine, but a deep-seated belief that causing others to experience her pain is the only way to prove her worth. In the end, Ursula's tentacles reached far beyond her physical form, wrapping around the very foundations of Atlantica's society. Her influence didn't require her continued presence. She had successfully demonstrated that the Ocean Kingdom's perfect harmony was built on the systematic exclusion of those who didn't fit the accepted mold. Even after her defeat, the questions she raised linger in the depths like sediment that never settles. Was King Triton's rule truly just if it required casting out those who challenged conventional wisdom? Did Atlantica's peace depend on silencing alternative perspectives? Ursula's rebellion, twisted though it became, exposed the cracks in a system that claimed perfection while practicing selective acceptance. The psychological aftermath of her reign extends beyond her direct victims. Every creature in the Ocean Kingdom now knows that intelligence can be weaponized, that help can become harm, that those who offer solutions to our deepest problems might be feeding on our vulnerabilities. She didn't just challenge political power. She shattered the trust that holds communities together. Her story serves as a dark mirror for anyone who has ever felt excluded, overlooked, or rejected by the societies they desperately wanted to join. The transformation from victim to victimizer happens gradually, tentacle by tentacle, compromise by compromise, until the desire for belonging becomes the need to control belonging for others. But perhaps Ursula's most lasting legacy is the recognition that evil rarely announces itself with fanfare. It whispers in our ears during our weakest moments, offering solutions that feel like salvation but lead to psychological slavery. Her tentacles don't just grab, they embrace, they comfort. They promise understanding from someone who has walked the same dark path. The ocean remembers everything, including the truth that sometimes the most dangerous monsters are those who were once just like us, until the pain of rejection transformed their cry for help into a weapon against hope itself. The next time you find yourself in the depths of rejection, feeling invisible and powerless, remember Ursula's tentacles reaching through the darkness. The choice between healing and revenge, between seeking understanding and demanding control, sits waiting in every moment of pain. Her story isn't just a cautionary tale about becoming the villain. It has a mirror reflecting our own capacity for both transformation and destruction. In the end, we all choose which depths to call home.